Some of you gonna lead the state of allegiance tonight?
I can, if you'd like me to.
I would.
Okay.
I would. All right, I've got 6 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll call tonight's June the 7th meeting to order. Unfortunately, this is our last night with having her up here as our manager. And so I've asked her to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. First item of business is the adoption of tonight's agenda. Has anybody got any changes, additions, or subtractions on the agenda for tonight? I hear none. So
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, there is a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, next is the approval of the consent agenda for tonight. Any questions, comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Public hearings, we had 3 scheduled, and I have nobody signed up to speak to them. Who is up on the first one, Town of Franklin fiscal year budget? Is anyone prepared? Madam Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. So what you have before you tonight is the proposed fiscal year 21-22 Town of Franklin budget. One thing to note that we did want to bring the board's attention to is the increase in revenue of our fire tax. This is not a fire tax increase on the town. However, 50% of this funding, 50% of the Franklin Fire Department funding comes from town residents, 50% comes from county residents. So we also submit our annual budget to Macon County. And when we submitted the budget, they're projecting that we will have a $9,163 increase from where ad valorem has went up as far as assessed value. So they are just projecting that we're going to have an additional $9,163 in our revenue. So we made that correction in your budget. Where we put that expense was just to continue to grow your capital reserve account. So again, it's not a fire tax increase. It's just additional revenue that the county suggested we were going to collect this fiscal year.
Any comments on the fire tax? All right, Counselor, can we move along with these public hearings since nobody has signed up to
Do
speak?
you have anybody for public session? If you don't have that, you could skip around too.
I don't have anything. No, sir.
I don't imagine anybody's going to be here to speak about the sign ordinance, so we could probably at least
Don't
move
we have
into
to
the.
officially open the public hearing and close the public hearing?
Did you open the public hearing
No,
on the?
not yet.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing on the, I guess a little belatedly, the budget, the public hearing. And now I'll open the public hearing for sign ordinance. Who is on, Mr. Setzer, are you going to speak to the sign ordinance?
Hold it a second. Just point of order. I think after she gave the presentation, then we have to open it up and then close it on the sign on the budget, and then go to the sign ordinance.
Yeah, just for the minutes.
Make a
if you
motion to
would.
do it and I'll do it.
I think you can just declare it closed.
You just declare
Okay.
it closed.
Declare it closed. Thank you. Public hearing at 6:10 for a sign ordinance. Mr. Setzer, you want to bring us up to date, sir?
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Have in your packet the updates to Chapter 155, the sign ordinance. We were going through some changes in this for the 160D updates that we required to make some changes in reference to general statutes. We also were doing some changes in this from a Supreme Court case, the Town of Gilbert, who was it against, John? Remember Gilbert versus Church? Anyway, doesn't matter. There was some First Amendment language that sign ordinances were no longer allowed to have, and we've had to strike through a few definitions, a few items in it, which you'll see in there. One was like commemorative sign, and so we've done this. We've made some changes to comply with that, and making the references to 160D that we need to make changes from 160A to 160D. So you have all that in your packet. There's, other than making those minor changes, of striking out commemorative sign, and that is really the only changes other than the 160D references. The planning board reviewed this. They passed it unanimously. They looked at it for a couple of months. And so now it's here tonight for your consideration.
Okay. Nobody here in the audience that wanted to speak to the sign ordinance. Okay, let's go around the board. Anybody want to speak to the sign ordinance? All right, if not, we will move on. I'll declare that public hearing closed. And we will go to the third one. Consideration of an economic development loan. Who's going to take that up?
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to. Mr. Mayor and council members, as you are all very familiar with at this point, we have been in discussions with the ultimate owner of a piece of property that's out at the sort of bounded by Highway 441 and Sila Road, Hendon-Tiller Franklin LLC. They're the developer of that property, and in discussion have options to acquire the rest of that property from, or two more parcels of that property from Duke Energy. I have presented you a resolution that summarizes the transaction, gives the total amount to be loaned. You have to only make the findings within it that it will generally increase the tax base, that it'll tend to increase the employability within the town, and on top of that, there's a reference in here. Well, I don't have the letter in front of you, but we'll get it to you for the average wages and the number of jobs that'll be created there. I've reviewed that for you. I would share with you that I think it's more than adequate to cover the interest that you are going to acquire in this property. So what it'll be is a $200,000 loan. As we have discussed, it's going to be amortized at a 5% interest over 10 years, but repayable within 2, so sort of a balloon feature. The resolution also goes into the delegation of authority that you're giving me, your manager or interim manager soon to be, and the mayor to execute documents that secure your loan in that amount and under those terms. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you have, but the basic take-home message of it is there was a development that showed a shortfall in what funds were going to be available, so it would not have happened but for the town's participation. To do that under North Carolina law, you need to do it at a market rate, and I think you are charging a good, decent market rate for your loan to be paid back in a reasonable amount of time, at the end of which you're also going to have a really valuable asset in the form of a water and sewer service to more commercial property within the town. And the last part of that being, it will be within the town because the property owners agreed to annex in, and including the other phases of that development. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about it.
Anybody got any questions? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing on it. All right, there's nobody signed up for the public session unless somebody's got some burning urge they want to tell us about. I'll close the public session portion of the meeting tonight. So let's go on to new business. Okay, the first item is that we will take action on the budget. I guess what we're doing tonight is adopting the budget, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And if so, before we adopt it, I want to give everybody the opportunity to express their feelings on the budget, what you might like to say as far as the council. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the budget.
Motion to adopt.
Do I have a second? I have a second. All in?
No, I said Mike seconded it.
Look, I'm gun shy, okay? All right. So, all in favor? Call for the vote. All right, that passes. Madam Manager, please express our appreciation to all the employees for putting that budget together. They did a magnificent job. Smoothest I've ever seen.
Absolutely. They put in a lot of work and countless hours, so they're all to be commended.
Thank you guys back there.
As did you.
Staff.
Thank you.
And yes, ma'am. Did you say that?
I said, as did Miss Woodard. as
Oh, I
far
know,
as-
I know. Okay, the next item is the board action on the sign ordinance. Anybody have any questions or additions or comments? If not, I'll entertain the motion to adopt the sign ordinance as presented. Have the motion? Do I have a second? The word for a minute there. Okay, all in favor? Okay. And the third one is the consideration of the economic development loan to Hendon-Tiller Franklin LLC. Any comments, discussion before we move on to take a vote?
Mr. Mayor, it does, I feel compelled to finally share, and I have confirmed with Mr. Tiller that it's not any kind of a problem for anybody for us to confirm. This is the development for Chic-Fil-A. So let everybody rejoice and let there be many chicken sandwiches very soon. I just want to, I know we have been waiting to be able to share that for a long period of time.
Worst kept rumor.
I know it.
Did we share it, did you share it with Facebook
It was
as well?
not, it was not a state secret, that's for certain.
They don't have any Mexican food there, I saw.
Yeah.
Mr. Horton?
I make a motion we approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, all right, all in favor? All right, that passes, okay. All right, so the next item is Gemstone Village Water and Sewer Allocation. Who's handling that?
Mr. Stillwell will be.
Stillwell? Come right on up, sir.
And the council and mayor has everything in their agenda packet as well, so if you just kind of want to hit the highlights of what you're
Okay.
requesting.
And welcome, sir.
Thank you. We're proposing a approximately 150 unit manufactured home deed restricted adult community located on Prentice Bridge Road, approximately about a mile east of the intersection with Addington Bridge Road and 441. In order to get our utilities, we propose to extend the town water and sewer from that intersection at US 441 to the proposed site. With the sewer, it will take us either a 4 or 6 inch ductile iron force main in accordance with the town rules and regulations for that. And also, we're proposing to extend the water along with it, one on either side of Prentice Bridge Road. That's about it, unless you have any questions.
And Mr. Mayor and Council,
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
may, I know town staff, we've worked with the developer, and to our knowledge, we are comfortable with everything they're proposing. We do have the water and sewer allocation available.
That was going to be my question, how does this affect our capacity? We're well within our
Well,
capacity.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Culpepper.
It'll be a force main from the development all the way to where it connects to Prentice Bridge Road.
It will be a force main to the intersection, and then once we get to 441, it will be gravity sewer across 441 to Old Addington Bridge Road, or close to that intersection.
But between this development, your development, and the highway, nobody else will be able to tie on because it's a force main, because it's going uphill.
Well,
Right.
they could if they tied onto it with a pump station.
Yeah, it's an hour or two.
The pump station's at the bottom of the hill there at Annington Bridge Road and Prentice Bridge. That's the last pump station I think that we have, isn't it?
I
On
think
that
there's
line?
one more down
Yeah.
by the Welcome Center, isn't there?
Maybe.
Okay, what about water allocation though? Is there sufficient water to supply other people if they wanted to tie on the water line after this? Or will this water line belong to us or them after they build it?
It would be, it'd be the similar situation to how our current lines are. It'll be built to our standards and specs. The town would take over, and there is a possibility for water.
Okay, so if other people along this stretch want to tie onto water, that's a possibility. Sewer would be much more difficult to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the next step? Counselor, do we vote on the allocation? Is that-
Yes, sir. This
Is that correct?
council is ready to vote. It's on approval of the water and sewer allocation.
May I ask one more question
sir,
before I
please,
close
please.
up here, Mr. Mayor? The installer owner will own and maintain the line for 1 year before it's actually transferred to the town, is that correct?
Yes, sir. 1 year of be one clear warranty free where there's no issues on the line. It has to be guaranteed for 1 year.
Any further questions? Yes, sir.
So capacity wise, that's not like, there is the capacity, but I mean, it's not like, we've still got plenty of capacity down that way.
Yes, it's not an issue at all.
All right, anybody else? Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Move to approve the request.
Okay, I have a motion to approve
So,
and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Okay, discussion on town-sponsored events. Madam Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if we may go up one if you don't mind, it's E, resolution in support of closing North Carolina's health insurance gap. And this was emailed to me by one of your constituents wanting to know if the town would support the resolution. And I just included the resolution for your review.
I must have skipped right over that. I apologize.
No problem.
The type's getting smaller on these agendas. Okay, so we need a motion on that to, and I've lost my place again, closing North Carolina's health insurance gap.
If it's the will of the board. This was sent to me by a constituent wanting to know if the town would be interested in passing this resolution.
Somebody want to give us a lowdown on what this resolution is?
I can very briefly. So,
Just very briefly,
So what
please.
it is very briefly, it looks at the health insurance gap, and there's been, I believe, Macon County Commissioners are looking to adopt something similar. So approximately there's 1,322 uninsured individuals in Franklin and about 750,000 across the state. What this is doing is just to help close this gap, to drive new businesses and healthcare activity in Franklin, to create up to 62 new jobs. And then this particular resolution helps focus on small businesses, healthcare providers, and individuals to support a thriving economy. And then also, it's looking at getting funding. Federal funding will cover 90% of the cost for states closing the health insurance gap. So it's no commitment to the town. It's just if the mayor and town council is so inclined to support such a resolution, trying to close the health insurance gap that's affected Franklin and then primarily everywhere in North Carolina and really nationwide.
basically, encouraging the General Assembly to do this.
Okay.
What's your recommendation?
Approved resolution is presented.
Okay. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the resolution as presented and recommended by the manager.
Okay. So I have a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay. All right, I think I'm back online, Madam Manager. We're back to the update on the skate park request, or did we do the, oh no, discussion on town-sponsored events.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, what you have is, I just kind of wanted with my departure, wanted just to kind of outline to the mayor and town council what events that the town actually is the sponsor and we're actually responsible for. And those are listed in your packet. Chief Harrell from the police department's also put his secondary employment form to mirror what's in the town's. As far as the festivals that the town provides services for. Currently, that is the movie nights, which is the first Fridays, May through October. I know interim manager, Mr. Setzer, is working with David Parlier as we speak to see when we can get those started back now that a lot of the restrictions have been lifted. The second, of course, that we do is Picking on the Square, that always runs Memorial Day weekend to the second weekend in October. And then, of course, we do July 4th, which will be taken over this year. And then also we do Pumpkin Fest, Veterans Day, and 2 nights of Winter Wonderland. So those are true town-sponsored events that the town, oversees, and our fire and police department assist us with. Anything outside those events is above and beyond what the town provides services for.
Unless we choose to host another event.
Yes, sir.
Do we need any kind of motion on that?
No, sir, that was more just for information, just so we could all see. That way you knew kind of what the town from administration considers a town-sponsored event.
Okay, and make sure the media, y'all are aware of the fireworks. Okay. What are you shaking your head for? I didn't hear. Oh, okay. Just reminding y'all of the fireworks display that the town will be putting on. And you'll be able to see it from almost anywhere in town. So you don't have to drive out of town to see it. Just come on in, find your parking space. And hopefully we're going to turn on all the radios in town and we're going to have the 1812 Overture by Tchaikovsky. So I think that's fitting for the fireworks display. Okay, the update now, the update on the skate park request.
Yes,
All right.
Yes,
we're back.
Mr. Mayor and Council. So a couple of
Chief Harrell?
things. What we've got going on that is, I know we had a large turnout looking at from our youth and members of our community on what the town could do as far as partnership opportunities with either creating or partnering with a skate park. Our department heads, specifically Chief Harrell, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Setzer, have really went above and beyond trying to make this come to fruition. So what I'd like to do is start with Chief Harrell to let him give you an update on where he is with the First United Methodist Church. And then we also have 2 guests here who have been working with us, and I'll let them tell you a little bit more about themselves. But they are looking at partnership opportunities with the town to possibly fund a skate park, and also possibly looking at your beautification on your roundabouts. They're really much inclined to give back to the Franklin community. The reason we're going to need to look at alternative sources for revenue is based on what we have seen preliminary with the American Recovery Act funds. And of course, this will be discussed later on with your future manager, but it would not allow you, the current American Rescue Plan would not allow you to do anything with rec for a skate park, and it would not allow you to do anything with your roundabouts for beautification. It's going to be very strictly tied to just infrastructure. So I say all that to say, I think there's some great partnerships, public, private, and you've got some individuals in our community willing to step forward and help provide those resources. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Harrell, followed by our guest.
Good evening, Council. So, as Ms. Woodard said, had the opportunity to speak with Pastor Beam at the Methodist Church, other youth leaders there, had some good conversations actually as of last week, and got some traction on potential partnership with the town and the Methodist Church on their skate park. We had some meetings the latter part of last week with Wally Insurance, who actually represents all of those entities. And so it went quite well, and the Methodist Church was actually given some homework to go back and create a game plan as to what they would be looking for or potentially expecting from the town if that partnership was to develop. After which, J.E. Dunn was actually born, and I was introduced that these gentlemen have a lot to offer the town possibly. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to them, let them introduce themselves and what they have to offer. Then I can answer any questions that you may have afterwards.
Gentlemen, welcome aboard. Come on up.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I can speak into this. I'm pretty loud. This is my job to be loud. My name's Steve Suttles, and I'm with J.E. Dunn. This is Anders Ike. I'm the superintendent on the project. He's one of our project engineers. We're building a new hospital here in town. Any questions you got on that, we're more than happy to answer those, but everywhere that J.E. Dunn goes, we try to get involved with the community. If it's through the project that we're doing, we try to help out with that. If not, then we go straight to the community. Of course, with HCA will not allow us to donate or anything to them because it'd be a conflict of interest on their end. So we reached out to the town, Nathaniel being our main contact, or Mr. Moore, we put it that way, being our main contact, said, hey, we're here, we want to do something to help the community. Is there something you guys need us to help with? And he said, yeah. They come back and said, yeah. And then we met, and I apologize, Miss Woodard. We met with Miss Woodard and Mr. Moore, and the gentleman's going to take over for Miss Woodard. I'm sorry, I don't remember all these names, but brought us in and said, yes, we'd like to do something in the community. Again, the roundabouts, maybe a water feature in one of them, or maybe a skate park, because there's a lot of interest from the community in the skate park. So on our end of it, we said, sure, we can come and we can raise money, or we can try to help. We can get our trade partners involved and have them come down. If we're looking at helping build something, that we could get them involved and volunteer their time to come out and volunteer money. Of course, skate parks either take concrete or the removable structures. On our part of it, we left that meeting and went back and just looked at what are the costs here. So concrete being a permanent and a non-maintenance issue really for the town for some time, or movable structures as far as the skate park goes, those are about 25-year pieces. So we looked at that on our part. We'll go back to the town and say, okay, or what do you really want us to do? What is it? Are you really, do we look at concrete? And then we just kind of need a general idea. We have, between the two of us, we've discussed, and we have a certain number that we're willing to try to get to. And again, with J.E. Dunn, if me and Anders and our team here and raises enough money, let's just say we raise $30,000 as an example I always give, J.E. Dunn Corporate will match that $30,000. So for us, our goal would be this, whatever this is half of that. And at that point, we would go back to our corporate officers and say, okay, we've raised this, we want to do this. Again, we're doing this because a lot of people build hospitals, a lot of people build Chick-Fil-A's. Quite honestly, you'll probably remember the builder from the Chick-Fil-A more than you would us, but we want to try to stop that. We want to be part of the community. So it's not only this, we're working in other areas of the community too, around in these surrounding communities. But when we leave, when I leave 6 months from now, mind you, I live in Haywood County, born and raised. I just happen to travel with this company. But, I want you to say, yeah, J.E. Dunn built that, and then they come and helped us in the community. So that's kind of what we're here for. The other things that we're doing right now, we've reached out to Western Carolina, and Western Carolina's construction management classes, they're coming out. Anders is working with the local high school here, Franklin High School, to help the vocational parts of that. I can let him speak to that. Or I can answer any questions you want and let him speak to that, whatever you want to do, if you got questions about the hospital or what it is that we're here to help you with.
And if I may just interrupt real quick, Mr. Mayor and Council, would you please talk about some of the areas we sent you to look at as far as a skate park possibility?
So yes, we went down. I apologize again, I don't remember the name of the park, but you go past the church where the skate park is now, get to the bottom of the hill, you turn to the right, it's down there by the creek.
Jason.
So we went and looked at that. We actually went to the church and looked at the skate park they had, and Chief had actually helped build a skate park in Highlands. We rode up and looked at that skate park, and actually we met one of your town residents. Her husband owns Bald Head Realty. And she was up there asking, are you guys going to build a skate park in Franklin? I was like, well, boy, news travels fast. We just walked out of town hall. But again, we went and looked at these areas. The area that we looked at, there's two sides of that. One, either side of the creek, you have some flat space there. If it was going to be a skate park and you decided to build a skate park there and we could help out, then, concrete and or a solid concrete, and then put movable structures, or we talked to our trade partners at that point. For us, just really need to have a great idea from the town which way you would rather go. And again, as I've said, it don't necessarily have to be a skate park. There's beautification projects, things like that. We're just here to help. And whatever that is, and when the town comes back and said, look, we really need this. For J.E. Dunn, we've helped build schools, we've helped other communities, we've helped housing development, things like that. We just go out and help however we can.
we've done playgrounds and stuff like that. And we just want to have an impact that lasts longer than us just being here building the hospital. We know the hospital has a lasting impact on the community, but I want to have a lasting impact. I guess I'm slightly partial to the younger generation that's growing up in this town to be active. So when I heard the idea of a skate park, I was like, that's a great idea. It gets people out from sitting in front of their gaming screens or their phones. And then the other aspect that we want to reach out to the community is I'm trying to get in, or I have been in contact with the local high school and trying to get in with the construction departments of y'all's high school to get them to come out to our job site, introduce them to construction. I was not given that option when I was coming through high school, but I know it's something that I would have greatly valued. So that's another way we're trying to help out with the community.
Gentlemen, this is great news. Thank you.
Well, like I said, we will do everything we can to help. I can't promise you $1 million, but I can promise you we will give it the best effort that we can. And again, if we didn't meet our goal, then if it was just financial, we would take that money and turn it over to the town for whatever project you seen fit. Yes,
Steve,
sir.
let me, I've got a call on the board.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're hoping to finish up the hospital project about when?
There is no hope, sir. The hospital opens on the 29th of June. If it does not, then I'll be looking for another job. So
The 29th of June.
June 2022, not this year.
And it just, for a lot of reasons, it makes sense for this project to happen during that time period.
Yes, sir.
After you pick up and leave, it's harder to get, yeah.
It is harder to come, but like I said, I live 2 counties over. HCA, I work solely for them, so I could be in Texas or somewhere else, but I'm home every weekend. You can come and hunt me down.
Okay.
And you live in Haywood County?
I do live in Haywood County. I'm a graduate of Pisgah. I know most of you might be Franklin Panthers. But
JC's Park, is there any flooding? I mean, there's obviously flooding issues down there. You said you visited the site?
I visited the site. That's why I said it would be a poured concrete pad. The chances of a 250-yard concrete pad floating away are slim.
I was just wondering about it being full of water or something, though.
We would not build a bowl.
Okay.
And we would stay away from that.
So it'd be
talking to the chief and
gotcha.
talking about the insurance,
Gotcha.
a bowl is a whole different thing.
Gotcha.
So
Insurance won't let you build a bowl.
if you've been up to Highlands, it's flat and then it rolls up to the sides, but everything can drain off the site without having an actual drain in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that's the way we would look at it.
Okay.
Anybody else around the board? How do we proceed? You guys have all of our contact information. Nathaniel, Ms. Moore, you have all the contact information?
Yes.
Anybody have a downside?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
You're sort of the skateboard guy for me, and Mr. Culpepper has worked very hard on several things considering bicycles, skateboards, recreation. Madam Manager, I think the thing to do is to go ahead and let's work with these folks. Yes, Jack? Please.
Since you're from Haywood County, I know a little bit about that county. I spent some time there.
Okay.
The skate park that the town has over there, are you familiar with it?
I am.
Did y'all have anything to do with that, or that just?
No, sir, it did not.
But you've seen it, you know
I
what's
have seen
involved.
it. My grandson, until he moved to Myrtle Beach, was there about every day. So I have seen it. I've been up there. Actually, to tell you the history of it, it actually took over for the Lions Club horse arena. So
Right.
my wife and father used to show, her father showed horses and was in that area quite a bit back in the early 90s. But I have been up there. I've looked at it. I've been Cherry Street over in Asheville. They've got one that kind of rolls down with the street elevation itself. So
Well, that one there in Waynesville's in a flood area anyway, so
Yes.
I don't think they've ever had any issues with that I know of.
No, it's right. The creek is probably 3 feet below the skate park itself.
Right.
And again, it's not designed as a bowl system either. So you really want to stay away from that, because if it does get blocked and you get water in there, then again, I understand the insurance implications on that.
All right, well, gentlemen, we look forward to a partnership here.
If you want to contact either one of us, Nathaniel has all of our contact
Right.
information. You're more than welcome. And also the invitation goes, if anyone wants to come and view the hospital at any time, you can get a hold of us. We'll walk you through it and explain. If you need us back to talk about anything about the hospital or anything else, you let us know.
Well, you feel free anytime right here at the town hall. You're just more than welcome, sir.
All right.
Sir, we appreciate y'all having us tonight.
We
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let me ask a question while we're talking.
Yes, sir.
If, it sounds like they're gonna be in for 50%. Are we going to try to broker 50% through different groups, or are we going to try to contribute some of it? Because if we do, I guess we could always amend the budget during the year if we get to that point in time, yeah.
So if I may speak on that, one of the things, and before you guys leave, if you'll hold tight real quick, please.
Okay.
One thing I would speak on that is one thing to recommend to do is, let's say it was 50,000 the town needed committed. This is a prime example of where many of you heard me preach, and some of you get mad when I say we keep a fund balance. This is a prime example of a one-time project that would be immaculate to use your fund balance on, whether it was 50 to 100,000. And one thing I did want to mention before they left is I really think there needs to be some momentum continue with this project, especially knowing their timeline of when they're going to be out of here. So one thing I would suggest to the board and our attorney and our new manager who has left already is maybe bring this back up next month for a little bit more discussion. That way John can look at the legal side, but also that'll give your manager and your engineer some time to work with the developers, let them come up with some suggestions. And I would recommend, at least for now, pursuing the option of the JC Park. I know that there's other options out there about possible partnerships with the county, but I worry, to be honest, on behalf of the town, if that would feel a time crunch, because we never know if the county's going to be willing to partner on that or not. Where you guys have a prime piece of property in town that we maintain currently, it is accessible. You have parking. It's somewhere where the kids from the high school can easily walk. It's viewable. I really would suggest that the board continue to give some high consideration to JC Park and let everyone come back next month with some more ideas to look at this, to keep this moving forward.
Madam Manager, I would like to also further comment. Gentlemen, if we get into this time thing, would y'all be agreeable when we really start getting something in place to call a special meeting? This is a pretty big project for us, and limit the business that night to what we're going to do with these gentlemen here. Yes, sir.
Yes, and yes, you're right. I just want to throw my voice out there that I think a permanent structure that is built into the landscape, made of concrete and steel, is a much more viable long-term goal than a movable obstacle. I think kids actually get hurt more on the movable ones than they do on the ones that are built in permanent structures.
Well, it's more, it would, in my mind, it'd be more aesthetically pleasing than something that can be moved. If it's, it's more like it's there, it can be made to sort of fit into that environment.
And many thanks to the church though, for having the mobile one and for wanting to partner with us in the near term until we get this other thing figured out. But yeah, I think a permanent built-in structure is what I anyway.
You said if it's at the JC Park, it needed to be the permanent and not because of the flood.
The mobiles can be anchored. When I say that, they're just movable pieces and parts. It can be anchored, but again, we're going to do whatever we can to help you. And if it's, I think like I'm not to you guys, but what I've said is, even if it's above what we think that we can actually do, we can get you there to a certain point. And then maybe, and maybe somebody else comes in to helps out with that. But if that's what you want, then that's what we would do. And it'd be concrete, and that's the way we're going to treat it. On our end, to be able to get it done and turn it over to the community, our part as far as fundraising and everything else and getting commitments from people to help with it would be February 1 of next year. Then we would say, okay, we're going to start now, so that we're done in the next couple of months, because I would like it for it to be open and gone before we leave. But that would give us ample time for fundraising and to secure free labor from our trades. I want to say that maybe not free labor, but whatever we need, to get from them to help out with it.
It's going to have your name on it, but you get the labor done.
So, yeah, it won't have my name, and I want to make that, it won't say J.E. Dunn anywhere on a plaque, but every single trade of ours, NHM or whoever it is, concrete, I would put a plaque of their name on it. So we're not, again, we're not here to, I would like for you to remember who we are, but you don't have to remember it because there's a plaque there. I just want you to remember for what we've done for the community.
Around here, we let people know who does what, so.
Well, I appreciate that.
Now, you may have to fight us over this plaque business.
Again, whatever that happens, well, I heard a sign ordinance, I'm gonna assume that's a sign, so maybe we keep putting that on there.
He was just covered.
I have a question about the funding again. I believe you said that y'all try to help fundraise and then you go back to corporate and then they match that. So whatever you're able to attain with a wide net, your corporate will match that.
Yeah, and they will to a certain extent, and I would have to find out what that is.
Fair.
I know about what this park's gonna cost, and we have a goal of what we're going to raise. And if anybody actually wants to know, it's gonna cost you around $100,000 to build this park. Southern Concrete, some people don't like HCA, and that's fine. I'm not here to raise the HCA flag, but they spend a lot of money, and now that they bought Mission, they spend a lot of money with Southern Concrete, so I can guarantee you we can probably get really good deals on concrete. So when I say $100,000, that is just looking at it without any discounts, without free labor. If we went out and built it and we volunteered our time, the materials and everything would cost $100,000. So that's about what it would cost. But we have free soil because we're going to have to build banks and things like that to create this. Yes, sir.
Do we need a skate park designer to help with the designing, or y'all can handle that in-house, or?
We can handle it in-house. This is basically a design build. So that's what it would be. We'd say, okay, what is it you're looking for? And we would implement those elements. And then we would just come out and our concrete contractor, whoever, actually J.E. Dunn owns their own concrete business down in Charlotte at our office there. But I don't know that that's where it would go. We have Al Construction out of Cherokee. They're doing the concrete for us. NHM is doing the site work concrete. So we would probably go to these guys. And again, this is what we want. We want a hump here, whatever it is. Then
Or
we'll
we can go to Waynesville and copy their design.
You can.
Yeah, you can get books of those. Okay.
You can go there. You can go look at the Highlands Park. It's a really nice park, and we can add those elements into it. Again, going back to steel, things like that. Dave Steel is the local steel contractor for it, so we go to them for pipe rails or anything, grind rails. Not everybody knows what a grind rail is, but I'm actually the same age as Tony Hawk, so I'm a big skateboard fan. Too old to do that crap anymore. But yeah, you look at what you want and then just kind of tell us, if this is the area that we pick, this is what we would like to see, and have everybody have their input. And then again, like I said, we can bring soil, we can build up mounds, and then take our concrete to it.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And staff will be in touch tomorrow just to follow up with next steps forward.
Call him. I'll be in Missouri at our office, so I'll be gone for the week.
Nathaniel has our cards, and you can call me.
Thank you,
I'll be happy to
gentlemen.
help.
We
Thank y'all.
appreciate it.
Y'all have a great night.
Okay,
Thank you, Chief.
we've got a request for a new town hall vehicle.
Please.
Please.
So yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, what you have before you tonight, so let me kind of backtrack. We're asking in this current budget we're in, we have a small surplus, and we're asking to purchase a new vehicle for town hall. What we're asking to do is our current vehicle that we have that goes for training, the board is welcome to use it anytime. The current vehicle we have was purchased by previous administrations, and it was truly purchased in a police package. So what we're asking to do is we have a 2011 Tahoe with right at 60,000 miles on it. We're asking to give that to the police department to help with some of their fleet maintenance and some of their officer accommodations that they have. And in return, we have had some savings in the police department this year in their salary and wages because of CARES Act funding, where it offsets some of your cost, and then also some of the vacancies and promotions we didn't do till later on. You have a surplus in there of about $35,000. So what we're asking to do, and we have spoke with Chief Harold, he was agreeable to this, is the town would be willing to give the Tahoe that's purchased to the police department, and the surplus that's in his salary and wages will go towards a new vehicle for town hall. What we've looked at is basically we've got some state contracts and bids looking around the probably 25 to 35,000 mark, and it would be a 4-wheel drive SUV. Currently, staff's looking at a Jeep. Is it a Grand Cherokee? a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Something that is, if the board wanted to go together on a conference or a meeting, it's available to the board. Also helps staff with maneuvering through town for events and also for travel and training. So what we're asking is, it's in the budget. Ms. Bishop has prepared a budget amendment, so we're basically just asking to take the $30,000 from salary and wages in the police department and put that into capital outlay vehicle and facilities. And I would like to take it one step further. We had actually budgeted for the new budget that the town council just adopted. We had budgeted to replace this Tahoe, but because of budget constraints, we made that cut to try and hold the line.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Looks like that's going to benefit the police department by having a vehicle that they don't have to go out and purchase, and it's also going to benefit the rest of the town as far as a reliable vehicle that could be used by a variety of departments within the town.
Yeah. If you've ever driven very far in that vehicle.
I got a tour of the sewer plant and the water plant one day in that vehicle. So, yeah.
I've been in more comfortable tanks than that thing. Okay. Do we need a motion on that budget amendment?
Move to amend.
Please.
All right, we have the motion. Do we have a second? All in favor? Okay. All right. Town of Franklin Employee Recruitment and Retention. Madam Manager, Mr. Talent.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'll start, and then I know Mr. Talent has some financial numbers for you to look at. So this is, and again, this is for discussion. We're not looking for an action tonight on it, but just some discussion to get forward to the board. In our ordinance review meetings the last couple months, we've really been talking about recruitment and retention for the town. And one thing we've noticed in administration is looking at longevity pay. So currently with longevity pay, an employee has to be employed with the town of Franklin for at least 10 years. And when you receive your 10 years of service, you receive a 1% longevity pay. Doesn't go on your base salary. It's basically a bonus, a one-time payment each year. So what we noticed is we're falling short, just like a lot of companies and government agencies are with recruitment, trying to get people here. What we've noticed is with your new employees, they have an opportunity for pay advancements through certifications that they can take within their first 2 to 5 years. Where we've noticed we're losing employees is that 5 to 10 year mark, because employees, they've got most of the degrees and certificates that they can get. So then their next step is either a COLA or they'll wait 10 years for longevity. So we noticed that we've got a retention issue in that 5 to 9 year gap. And one thing that Mr. Talent suggested, and I support it from management, and I want you to hear some of the figures that it's a minimal amount, would be to look at giving a longevity pay at that 5 year mark. And it would only be 0.5%. And Mr. Talent, would you like to, and we're not asking to do it this budget year, we're not asking for a vote tonight. We're asking for consideration in the next coming months, and then to make this effective July 1st, 2022. So that way your new manager and finance could build that in the budget. But Mr. Talent, would you give the number that the town of Franklin would be looking at to implement this?
Yeah, so I ran a report, and this doesn't take into account that some would come from your enterprise fund, some would come from your fire. This is just an overall window. And if it were implemented today, which as Ms. Woodard said, it wouldn't be. That's not our proposal. But if it were implemented today, it would be a total of $1,843 to your overall budget for 0.5%. Now in the long run, some of these employees are going to roll into the 10-year mark anyway. So I don't ever really see that number fluctuating a whole lot. Though in fairness, maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing, because that would mean that employees are staying with us. Because that does seem to be the window where we see them walk away. So this is just an attempt to try to keep your good employees and try to reward the ones that do stay with the town of Franklin.
And again, this is just for discussion purposes. This will probably be revisited at your board meeting next month. We'll put on the agenda, that way you guys can sit and kind of digest it a little bit. But again, just keep in mind that we've worked on this in ordinance review for probably the last 6 months, trying to look at different retention and recruitment policies, and you'll see a couple more coming down the line. But I think this could be a win-win for a very minimum amount to keep those, because when you reach that 5-year mark, the town has invested in that employee through search, and we want to make sure we're keeping them and not losing them to other agencies. And it's not just Franklin, it's a statewide trend wherever you look at, so.
What can we do to keep an employee after 10 years? An outstanding employee after 10 years.
I know the mayor down there, and I can tell him about the embezzlement we found.
You better.
I can tell you more outdoor recreational opportunities in town is a great benefit to our town employees, so outdoor rec.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, going further outside now, let's talk about the rules for the Sunnyside Disc Golf Course. Madam Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council, and this is just preliminary. Just figured we needed just some very basic rules of the Sunnyside Disc Golf Course. I'm just going to be very brief, come up with 7 rules we can add or take away. Number 1, use of disc golf course is on a first come, first serve basis. That eliminates the need for reservations, so first come, first serve. 2, please pick up all trash and place in trash receptacles, and we need to make sure that we're getting those out there, so that is something we'll work on. And then 3, use of disc golf course after dark is prohibited. That's something Mr. Henning and I had talked about just from a liability standpoint, is really if it's a night disc golf, we probably don't need to be allowing that to participate because of insurance liabilities. 4, pick up after pets. 5, definitely need to put this in there just because of the close proximity to the street. Do not throw disc at vehicles. I feel like you have to make that statement. 6, amplification equipment is prohibited. This is a similar rule we have at the JC Park. That way, if you do have a tournament or something going on out there, you don't have, especially a close proximity to the residents, you don't have amplification devices out there disturbing them. And then 7, no alcohol on premise. This is strictly prohibited, and all violators will be prosecuted. And that's a similar rule that we have at JC Park. And those, just mirroring it with JC Park and observation, that's really for management all that we could think of that you would need. You don't want to just bog it down with rules. So those are just suggestions.
One
Yes,
small suggestion. As soon as I read "do not throw discs at vehicles," I immediately thought about some kids saying, "Oh," and throwing it at a vehicle. I think it should be toward
Better.
vehicles.
Okay, we can
That
make
way
that.
they know what we're talking about, because there
Fair
are
enough.
vehicles parked someplace.
If you throw it toward, you won't hit it, you gotta leave.
To me, do not throw discs at vehicles. I mean, that's like a spiteful kid just immediately throwing it directly
Well, I
at.
drove,
That was a younger version.
Be the person you needed when you were young.
All right, Mr. Lewis has the floor.
I drove through there yesterday with my wife. We were going to look at it, and my first thought was, okay, there's people out here playing, and I'm driving down this service road, basically through the middle of the course. Probably not a good idea.
I think that Mr. Culpepper just showed the results of a misspent youth.
Yeah.
All right, anything? Yes, Mr. Horton.
No, go ahead. I go ahead
Mr.
now.
Horton, you have,
You're not going to require helmets or elbow pads or anything like that, are we?
I don't think this is real golf.
I think you got to bring your own disc too.
Well, as far as first come, first serve, there's 18 holes out there. So if somebody's playing on, you just start behind them or go to the back 9 or whatever.
Exactly.
So
It's 9, but they've got different tee
I want
pads.
to
Shares-
As soon as we get,
yeah, they share
really good, I want to come out, I want to come out and watch Mike and David have a little disc
Fun, yeah, it's a good
contest.
life.
take my clubs out there. I don't think you're good with the disc.
I think we have thoroughly discussed the outdoors tonight.
I
Yes,
have
Mr.
one
Henning.
other issue that you could consider as you do this, Mr. Mayor, and I'm sorry, it's just now occurring to me, you could add this to this set of rules if you wanted to, is that the state of North Carolina passed a concealed weapons set of rules a few years ago that severely limited what local regulation you can have. One of them that there is that you can prohibit them in an athletic facility. And I think you could do that here if you want, and parks for that matter. Is that, if that's something you're interested in, we could add that to it in the statutory citation.
I think so.
We think so, yeah.
Do that at JC's park, too.
I saw what the legislature
Don't
just
want no sore losers.
made it
Yeah.
legal. to carry
Yeah, there might be a really
churches
serious
now.
disc golf game, you never
And we're
know.
getting a kiosk too, right? So,
Yes.
okay, and this.
And these would be on the kiosk as well. And then we put this on our website, but we can make that other addition. We just kind of, Mr. Henning had mentioned it to me and I thought this would be the time. That way we're not waiting months out to bring this back up.
Let's do it, yeah. Do we need to vote on these 8? Or just,
It wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt.
okay, let's, somebody want to make
Make
a
a motion,
motion
we adopt those orders, including the one suggested by our attorney.
to conceal weapons?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second? All in favor? Good show, good show. Okay, legal, discussion on the draft ordinance, police and fire ordinance corrections. Counselor, are you going to handle that?
Yes, sir,
All right,
Mr. Mayor. These two ordinances are just cleaning up a couple of details. Well, 2021-6 is, and both of these I just bring for discussion tonight and your consideration next month. I'll bring them back for approval. If you look on 2021-6, section 3301 is about the police department, and as some of you may recall, I told you there was some room for confusion about appointment within the police department. The underlying language just adds chief to make clear that the police chief is also a manager appointment, because that was left out and not entirely clear in your ordinances when they were switched over to the manager form. 3320 is a similar kind of thing there in section 2. You, at some point or another, changed your ordinance about departmental policy within the police department to say basically it's a manager approval. That did not get made for the fire department for some reason, and was left that departmental regulations would be a town council approval just for that department. Now, if you want it that way, we certainly can leave it that way, but I don't really know what the logic would be behind, this should be a manager, department head type of consideration. So that's the only other purpose to that one. And Mr. Mayor, I'll just roll right on into 2021-7, which this was something that Chief Harrell brought to my attention I never really thought about before. I think you have a good structure for your general penalty for violation of ordinances. It's civil in nature, so you don't get to criminal until somebody has really scoffed at it for a long period of time and refused to pay fines. It's generally just a better policy to stick with civil citations as much as you can. The way your current ordinance is written, however, says warning, citation, and correct violation within 10 days, and there's no qualification to that whatsoever. So if you could be read to say, you have to give me a warning. If I violated your ordinance, and really could be something I absolutely meant to do, and I'm doing it right in front of this police officer, he has to give me a warning. So just to make it clear that that's going to be discretionary, and I think in every other mode of citation that any law enforcement officer has, whether to give a warning or not is a discretionary thing. So just to clarify that, I've added that a warning citation is to be issued in discretion of the officer. I'm happy to answer any questions about those, but again, as usual, I think just taking ordinance over a couple meetings is a better practice, and so unless you feel motivated to move on these tonight, and there's really no reason to, we'll just bring them back for approval in July.
Is there any reason not to go ahead and take care of it tonight?
You can, other than just, again, I think a better practice, and one I've tried to do a better job of lining you up for, is to have at least a meeting to consider an ordinance change.
Okay.
It doesn't need like a first reading or anything.
Well, I mean, this technically would be a first reading. We'd call
I mean,
it
we
that.
don't-
You don't have to vote
okay.
on one, no, sir.
Okay. Y'all just want to leave it to the next meeting?
Sometimes things come up in your mind that you don't think of right now. There's no reason to. I agree that we would not take action tonight.
Okay.
I'll bring it back in July.
We'll have it back on the agenda.
Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I need a closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege. Would you like to make announcements first? or-
Yeah, I would. I would just like to go ahead. I don't know that there will be anything coming out of the closed session that will be of news value whatsoever. However, the announcements, we will have our annual fireworks downtown block party July the 3rd. Starts at noon to 6:30, and the fireworks probably will begin about 9:30, depending, of course, on how dark it is at that time. The town offices will be closed Monday, July the 5th, for Independence Day. And the town council meeting, July the 6th, will be our next meeting, unless somewhere down the line we decide to call a special meeting on the Skatepark. So, anybody got anything, go around the table real quick before we go into the closed session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Sorry to do that to the media, guys.
Motion to go into closed session.
Okay, have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. All right, all in favor? Okay.
Do we always have the July 4th day?
Was maybe have like tickets and just pass out tickets to people at picking, and then just draw a number, and whoever got the number, then they got a gift card, and they changed businesses each week.
It's like a 50-50 kind of, but
Yeah.
you don't buy anything.
You don't buy anything, just get a ticket. So.
Good luck on that. You got 500 people up there.
Was it a good crowd?
It wasn't the first night. I didn't come this past year.
We drove through town, it looked fairly decent.
I don't think they're getting crowd yet. We'll pick it up. We'll pick it up. Okay, anybody else got anything else you want to add?
I'd just like to say one thing. I'd just like to publicly thank Mayor Scott for your leadership and mentorship to me over the last decade. And I'd also like to thank all the council members, Jack, Mike, Dinah, Joe, David, for all your support and mentorship. You've really helped pave the way for me. That you entrusted me with the town of Franklin these last 7 years, and truly appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate Sarah, Travis, Justin, everybody who helped with the event that you had for me Friday as a little going away party. Certainly meant a lot, and really like to thank the news media for your support over the years, and just our public, and most importantly all the staff. My time at the town would not have been successful without the staff and the dedication that they put into the town of Franklin. So just thank you.
You know how I feel. I feel like I've given my daughter away to a rascal.
If you get there and you don't like your job, there may be time to put an application.
We will make.
Tracy, my application come back.
Yes.
We'll have to interview.
Yes. You might be one of the top candidates, I don't know.
But thank you sincerely.
We're gonna miss you.
I'd just like to say that I really have enjoyed working with Summer since I've been on the board. She is an excellent manager, and we're going to really miss her. And the last thing I'll say is she really set the bar high for the next manager,
Yes,
hasn't she?
she did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, anything else? All right, we have a motion, and I hate to adjourn this one tonight, because this is Summer's last night. Do I have a second? No second?
Keep on beating.
Jack, you gonna make a second?
I'll make a second.
All right, all in favor?
Yeah, no. It's actually 60. 60.
Okay, see, I can't hear
No,
what y'all are
you're
saying.
fine. It's a 60, the motion was a $60,000 budget amendment. The 60,000 to be taken from retained earnings, the water and sewer enterprise fund, and to be placed in the water and sewer administration other professional services budget.
Water and sewer,
Other professional services.
other professional services.
So it basically took 60,000 from retained earnings, water and sewer.
From the enterprise fund.
Yep, and put it right back in the enterprise fund, but put it in
On a
other.
different line item?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's all they did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bobby.
I'm sorry I missed the audio of that.
No problem.